You got it.
Of no price.
I was gonna be like, how much is this worth to you exactly, and what does it look like?
I'm like, considering I can't really remember what's on it. I think it's an unknown word. Say it right.
Recording in progress.
We'll call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we do roll call, I'd like to welcome Pack 5 to the room. Is that, are all of you in Pack 5, or is there another pack here as well? Group 5. Group 5, okay, very good. Well, welcome. So, Amy, would you like to do roll call?
Yes, absolutely. Commissioner Dibdahl?
Here.
Commissioner Cronin?
Here.
Commissioner Wire?
Here.
Commissioner Shaw?
Here.
And Mr. Mayor Lindsay.
Here. You have before you the agenda for this evening.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You have before you the consent calendars. Anything anyone wants to remove from the consent calendar for discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent calendar.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no unfinished business, under new business, public hearing upon the application for package off-sale liquor license for Quick Trip Incorporated. Is there anyone in the audience in that wants to speak to that? Jameson, have you had any correspondence?
Not directly, no.
Okay. Chief Meyer, have you had any correspondence?
No, sir.
All right, if there's no one else, then we will move on to number 11, which is approve the package off-sale liquor license application for Quick Trip Incorporated.
I'll give a quick background on this, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. So obviously, Quick Trip is the new convenience store that is proposed to be located on the south central part of town, at the corner of 34 there. We have limited number of liquor licenses available, as every community does based on population. We do have one license available to us at this time, and they are requesting that license. We believe that we may be getting another license effective July 1 due to legislation changes at Pier this year, but I do not have a final response to speak with confidence whether that will be available. So at this time, we know that there is one license and there's one person requesting that license. Staff will stand by for any questions.
Jameson, what do we charge per license?
I do not know. Amy, do you know?
I think if the law states you can charge up to $1 per person per population
That's what it is.
That sounds right, yeah.
$1 per person.
is the maximum. And then
Because
the
didn't we
city
do that with the marijuana?
That's what I remember it from. Yeah, we discussed that.
City can set it, yeah, at more than that.
The fee for this application is $500.
Okay.
That
Other
was the
questions?
proposal with the marijuana.
Right.
Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve package off-sale liquor license application, Quick Trip Incorporated.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 12, consider the award of bid 2025 multi-community asphalt surface treatment project. Jameson or Gary, either of you want to address it?
I'll probably ask Ryan to
Ryan,
introduce
you
it.
want to address it? Okay.
Yeah, be happy to. So bids were opened here in Madison on Thursday, March 27th at 2 PM. 3 bids were received for the chip seal. This chip seal is a multi-community asphalt surface treatment project, so it includes Madison, Ethan, Kennebec, Geddes, and Winter. And we opened the bids for all communities. 3 bids were received, with Aztec Corp being the lowest bid received. We've worked with Aztec the last 2 years for this project, and they've done a really good job. Bros Engineering and the city staff recommend awarding this to Aztec for the total amount of $599,711.92. And Madison's portion of that is $312,455.60. That is lower than what the estimate was. Our estimate for Madison's portion was $351,740. So we're very pleased with the prices.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
The other cities have to go through the same process, I'd imagine.
They do, yeah.
Any other questions? Comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the 2025 multi-community asphalt surface treatment project to, what was it,
Aztec?
Aztec?
312,405.
For $312,405.60.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 13, authorize the mayor to sign change order number 1, Madison Water System Improvements, Segment 4, Metro Construction Incorporated. Ryan, do you want to address this one?
Yeah, so this change order is for, as you mentioned, in segment 4, that would be the water loop line out by the industrial park. This would be to cover costs due to utility crossings that were not identified in the construction drawings. So the absence of those private utilities not shown on the drawing were identified during the bidding of the project. They were brought to our attention by contractors. Following the bid, it was determined that the utilities had been missed during the survey, and so they weren't part of the construction drawings. Once those private utility locations were identified and then incorporated into the design, the proposed water main alignment needed to be changed, readjusted, and it resulted in quite a few utility crossings encountered by the contractor, Metro Construction. There were 19 locations where Metro installed water main across those previously unknown utilities. And Banner Associates in the city had documented the additional time that it took the contractor to then work around those utility crossings, and it accumulated to 41 and a half hours. We had been negotiating with the contractor. Their initial additional compensation that they'd requested was $73,470. After some coordination and communication with the contractor and some negotiation, the total amount that they've agreed to is $47,912.50. Banner staff and city staff do agree that we feel if the utilities had been identified before the project, we likely would have paid this additional cost during the bid. So we do feel like it's a safe or a fair cost.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
Ryan, do we get a deliverable with the utilities then to dump into GIS?
You mean like an as-built after?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, we will.
Okay.
Okay, other questions?
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign change order number 1, Madison Water System Improvements, Segment 4, Metro Construction.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 14, authorize staff to send a letter to the Army Corps of Engineers to initiate a 201 study. And again, Ryan, will you want to address this?
Yep. So this letter, which is included in the agenda packet, this letter would be sent to seek assistance from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for a Section 205 study. That's a flood study that would, part of that, the initial part of that would be a feasibility study, and the U.S. Corps would then take a look at our plans. This would be to reduce flood damages along Park Creek and Park Creek tributary. We've proposed detention ponds, and those plans in this letter would be shared with them. The initial step would be a feasibility study. The federal government pays the first $100,000 for that feasibility study, and then the additional costs for that study are shared 50-50 between federal government and the locals. And then after that, if the project is found to be feasible and goes forward, then they would work with us for bidding and construction of that, and the cost would then be split 65% federal and 35% for the local share. If we choose to submit this letter, it's not binding at this point. I mean, it would just get us in the queue to potentially get funded.
Questions or comments? Ryan, are you aware, was anything like this done after the 93 flood, or was it just the initial information on the 93 flood and then things kind of stopped after that?
Yeah, so the 93, well, it would be the 95 report, which was, after the 93 event. That was more of what we would call a Section 22 study. It's more of the study to look at it in a broader level and kind of try to find ideas on ways to reduce flooding and a number of flood mitigation options. The Section 205 study would focus more clearly on a path forward, and then it would involve bidding and construction of the project. So it's a little bit more finite.
Well, the nice thing about it is that, before the 93 flood, we didn't have any retention ponds. And so now that we do, people are better understanding that they're not building a lake, that there would be a place for water to be stored for a short time, but it have a hole in the bottom and drain out eventually, so. Any other questions or comments?
Are we expecting this feasibility study to be over 100 grand?
They have ballparked the cost around $700,000 to $800,000 for the feasibility.
That 50% match from the locals, is that local as in just the city, or is there a state share?
It would be the sponsor, so that would be the city of Madison. Now, if we can get some state funds to help to fund our portion of that, I think that's allowed, but it would be federal and sponsor is how they've got that divided.
Do we have a guaranteed determination at the end?
No, I mean, we could go through the feasibility study and they could find that it's not feasible to do the project. We have done cost-benefit analysis in the past, and it's shown that the project is definitely, we're positive on that benefit cost analysis. You need it over 1, and I think ours are, in the 5 to 6. So, I mean, we've been well above.
Well, in the water that comes from the west, Highway 81 has been our retention pond, and that's something that the state frowns on. So maybe down the road in that, if it turns out that something goes to the west and that the state would be interested in assisting on our portion. Mm-hmm. Any other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the staff to send the letter to Army Corps of Engineers to initiate the 205 study.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 15, approve use of up to 25,300 from the Police Department Technology Reserve. Justin, would you like to address this?
Yeah, sure. I have a couple of different projects here. The first one is an upgrade to our interview room recording system. Obviously, we went from one room to 3 rooms in our new building. With that, we were doing some research when budget season rolled around, and so we didn't budget for it as we didn't know exactly what we were going to be looking at. We did narrow it down and decide to go with Axon, which is also the current company that we use for our body cams and our car camera systems. So it integrates all into the same software system, and that for this year, the cost of that is $14,297.86. And then we would add that additionally to our budget for the next 4 years. It's a 5-year program to pay for the entire system. So that is the first one. The second one is we would like to install a rectangular rapid flashing beacon at the intersection of 9th and Chicago, which would be the crosswalk for the elementary school. Some of you may have seen those same type of beacons at 4th and Washington that were installed by the state. Recently, those are white flashers. These have been going up in communities around the state. We've been in contact with Deadwood. Deadwood has this system that they use crossing their state highway and have had great success with it. No issues with any injuries or anything like that on Car v pedestrian. And so we would look to supplement our crossing guards. There are times when unfortunately we can't man that every single day. That system going in, we have a bid of about $9,900 currently. A couple incidentals that we need to figure into that cost yet that haven't. So we're looking to request an amount up to $11,000 to put those in. Our goal would be to get those ordered and installed by the beginning of next school year. And those would be red flashing beacons, which would indicate when they are flashing, motor traffic is to stop until those cease from flashing. So we can put them on a timer, so allow our kids to get across the road safely, just to enhance that up there, so.
And so that would be for both east and west directions?
Correct, sir. Yep.
And are they motion sensor, or are there buttons?
They're gonna be a
for-
push button, so the
button for
kids would push
pedestrians?
button, yep. Our plan is, if granted, we would man that for the first couple of weeks to make sure everybody's using it properly, everybody is following, traffic codes as needed, make sure our kids are safe.
Other questions, comments?
Do you see elimination of cross guards completely?
We would have to see how this system goes, not initially, but that is a position that is very difficult to fill year to year.
Correct.
So this would be a fail-safe if we are unable to fill that position in the future.
Other questions? Comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the use of up to $25,300 from the Police Department Technology Reserve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 16, review the 2025 proposed Madison Aquatic Center rates. Jameson, you want to address that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Parks Board recently had a discussion and action on setting rates for the Outdoor Aquatic Center for 2025. Per ordinance, the Parks Board is able to set those rates. Those rates are then provided to the City Commission for review. If you would like to make any changes, you have the prerogative to do that. And if no action or no changes are made, then these rates are what would go into effect. The changes they're looking at from last year to this year are for the family passes. The non-member pass for the year would go from $150 to $175, and then the member pass, meaning the families who are members of the community center, would go from 125 to 150. So a $25 increase in those two family passes. We have seen increases in costs for labor each year, the last few years, as well as costs for supplies such as chemicals that are needed for the operation of the facility. In the agenda packet, so you have the proposed rates there, and you also have some peer comparisons that our staff pulled together, looking at where other cities are at. The park board had this same information when they were discussing, and they felt that it would be prudent to have a small increase for those family passes for the year of 2025. I'll stand by for any questions.
Jameson, do we know how much money we lose on the pool each year?
Yeah, I can give you a ballpark. Amy, do you have anything more specific?
Last year, it was $204,000.
Okay. This is certainly operations that the cities felt like is needed for quality of life. We don't operate them to make money or to make revenue off of course. This is a quality of life thing to offer for the community. Anecdotally, from what I've heard, there's only one pool in the state that makes money. All the rest of us do operate at a deficit, and Madison is not an exclusion from that.
Oh, pools are not money makers by any means.
Yeah.
Wasn't last year historically one of our best years? You know?
I don't know.
I
Yeah.
do not have this.
No, historically, the best year is the year we
COVID.
didn't open it.
Yeah, when we
Yes.
you beat me to it.
Other questions or comments? All right. And then with that, that was just a review, unless someone wants to make a motion to make any changes, or someone want to make a motion to accept the park board's recommendations.
I'll make a motion to accept the park board's recommendations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then April project updates. Jameson and Amy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are you able to bring that up, or? Okay. I'll work from the slides that I had in the packet. Looks like we aren't able to bring it up on the screens tonight. But if you have any questions, you can refer to the packet, or you can find me afterwards as well, for the members of the public. So April 2025, we have a few updates we want to share with the commission and the public. First off, we wanted to note that we have received notification that we have met the rules and regulations of the Safe Drinking Water Act for the state of South Dakota, and this is our 10th year of consecutively making that compliance in place. So thank you to our staff and the water treatment department in particular, who work day in and day out, often outside the public eye. People don't realize it, but they work very hard to make sure that we have clean drinking water to provide for our citizens. The next was the list of our active projects, so you can see there what we've got active. We are moving into construction season, so you're gonna start seeing more updates on some of these projects as we start breaking ground and moving. This last month, we had another City Circle event. This one was at Valiant Living, and some of the discussion topics was handicap parking downtown, flood mitigation, which is prudent for our item tonight, as well as childcare and housing. And we had a nice crowd there from both staff and residents at Valiant Living. Another past event was we were the host for Madison Professional Network here in the new building. So the chamber this is the first year of having their professional network in place, and we were happy to host a large crowd of people for that social and tour of the facility. The library has continued with their monthly events. They always have lots of great programming going on for the community. This last month included Mingo, or the music bingo, as well as a Bluey themed event, puppet plays from the teens to the kids, and then an open house for the Cherry Marshall Makerspace. So lots of great things happening at the library. And that takes us into our upcoming events. Our next City Circle is going to be on Wednesday, April 23rd at the Community Center from 9 to 11. The topic for this one is going to be infrastructure projects. So this is the first City Circle where we've introduced a topic to it. This is in line with one of our initiatives from our strategic plan. And so we do plan to have a topic for the City Circle about once a quarter. So every few months we'll be rotating topics. And this is a good time of year to start talking about infrastructure. So we will have Commissioner Dibdahl, Mayor Lindsay, and then Ryan Haig from engineering, as well as myself joining that City Circle event. Again, Community Center, April 23rd at 9 a.m. Tomorrow is, in keeping in line with the infrastructure discussion, tomorrow is the open house for this year's infrastructure projects. That's going to be here at City Hall from 5 to 7 p.m. We have, I'd say, about 3 larger projects going on this year, one in South Union, water main improvements on Highland, and then Egan Avenue, which we had a bid opening for recently, and we are, I assume that's gonna be at the open house as well, Ryan?
Egan will probably be its own meeting once we know a little bit more detail. So this would be the Rockwall sites, would be South Union, Highland, and then the intersection of Fifth and Blanche.
Okay. Oh, right, I forgot that one too. Any questions on that? The other upcoming events we have at the library, on Monday the 7th, they have Books and Pizza Bash. And then on April 26th, they have the Readers Fair. And then they also noted they are preparing for their summer reading program, and Color Our World is going to be their theme. The second to last thing I wanted to note here is that we have released dates for our citywide cleanup this year. They will be March 12th through the 16th. This has always been a challenging timing for us to release this, because we know that once we release the dates for citywide cleanup, people understandably start going through the houses and through their properties and start cleaning things out and getting ready. But we really highly encourage, fill in the verb you want, encourage our residents to not be placing items out on the boulevards or the alleys too soon. So again, it starts May 12th. May 10th is when we want residents to start placing items out, so that's the Saturday before the cleanup week. We have graduations for Madison Central and for Dakota State, and we want to keep our community looking clean up until that time. And then we are very excited to still continue to offer this service to the public. So again, May 12th to 16th, but please keep the items off the curbs until the 10th. We are going to be working with the police this year to enforce that. So if there are items being placed out before that, they're going to be getting some friendly knocks on their doors from the police. Any questions on that? Okay, and then last, I will note that our next segment of Good Neighbors Great Madison is we are reminding the public to keep their electric and water meters clear and safe. Just electric meters, water meters are inside. Keeping the electric meters clear and safe so that if staff need to access them, they have easy ability to do that. There are gonna be a number of meters being swapped out in the near future with the new AMI smart meters. And so this will make it easier for our crews, and it will also protect residents to make sure that they have reliable and consistent power. So that's our latest Good Neighbors Great Madison. And that wraps up this month's project updates. Are there any questions? Thank you.
All right. So that wraps up April projects, and do we have any public comment? Okay, seeing none, under announcements, our next regular commission meeting will be Monday, April 21st, here at 5:30 p.m. And again, I want to mention in that we're having our infrastructure open house from 5 to 7 here in the commission room. And that tomorrow, isn't it? Yes, tomorrow. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And I want to thank Troop 5 for being here. And do any of you have any questions of the commission? Yes, sir.
What if one of you guys opposed one of your ideas? What would happen? What would you say?
We don't always have agreement, and if it would go as if it's 4-1 or 3-2 or 2-3. If it's 2 in favor and 3 opposed, then it fails. If it's 3 in favor and 2, it passes. Same as if it's 4 in favor and 1 opposed, it still passes. And so, have we had some in the past? The answer is yes. The things that came before us tonight and that, we receive a lot of the information ahead of time. We've had opportunities to visit with our staff if we had any previous or prior questions, and that, as well as any questions that we bring up in that, at the meeting and that tonight. But have we had disagreements in the past? And the answer is yes.
And I've always been a firm believer that if I disagree and it votes 3-2, I will support it after that. But I always want to make sure that I have my opportunity to speak my piece too. So,
It's not just on the commission. I mean, we welcome the public. We like seeing the room full like this, so thank you for coming. But we welcome public feedback and comments, whether it's in favor of something, whether it's opposed to something. And I personally like to see it when the commission has some disagreement, it can talk through an issue. Because usually when that happens, whatever the outcome is better off with that dissent and with that disagreement than if we were all just shaking our heads yes and moving along with it. So we like to see that input from the public. We like to see that debate from the commission. Great question.
Great question. Other questions? Well, again, as, we've got a question. Yes, sir.
This meeting flowed very quickly. We don't see the behind the scenes. How long does it take typically to bring something before the commission and for you to research it?
Okay, I'm gonna turn this one to Ryan, and because in some of here in that, we voted on some bidding processes. So Ryan, can you kind of give a little timeline on what goes from your office and the processes and that before it comes here?
Sure, yeah, so speaking specifically about that multi-community chip seal, of course, where there's multi-communities involved and multi-companies involved, there's quite a long timeline. It's probably a 3 to 4 month process before we actually get that to bid. It's, developing the plans and specifications. It's getting all of the interested communities together to decide how large the project will be. It's going out and soliciting bids from the contractors and reaching out and letting them know that we have bids out. There's legal publications that go into the newspapers. We would contact Plans Exchanges out of Sioux Falls, and we answer a lot of questions leading up to those projects and those bids from contractors. So yeah, this is kind of like the pinnacle when you get down to the bid opening and the bid award, but there's a lot of work that goes up to that. As far as the change order that was brought, there's a lot of coordination there too with the contractor. I had mentioned that we had negotiated with that contractor. That was 4 or 5 different conversations, probably about 45 minutes to an hour each time. So, yeah, before we bring something to the commission, I want to bring something that we're able to clearly explain to them and be supportive of.
but like Egan Ave, we've been at that for two
Years.
years.
Yeah, years. Mhm.
And the other thing is if you look back at I'm gonna say probably 2 months ago, that's when the project was brought before the commission to put it out for bids. And so that's also part of it as well. So the commission, had it all explained to us, and then we've decided to put it out for bids. And then it's the waiting process till all of that goes through. And then tonight, we had received the bids and we awarded the bids. So it is a lengthy process, and there's a lot of people involved.
So when they say government moves slow, it moves pretty slow.
So, other questions? Yes, sir.
I noticed there's a few missing chairs. Is there usually more people here?
No, actually, you're probably the largest group we've had. And part of that is because we are also online and on Facebook. And so if you go to the City of Madison webpage and you look at the commission meeting, you can usually see a tally of how many people and that watch the meeting from home. And the other thing is that if they weren't available to watch it right now, they can pull it up later, and you can do the same thing. You can pull it up later and then watch the meeting at a later time. Okay?
I think it also depends on the topics of conversation. So if we have budget meetings, we're gonna have other key staff up here too, like Jamal and Mike and Gary all in the back. They'll probably be up to the table up here as well.
On this side of the podium, there's a couple empty chairs, but as far as city commission goes, everybody's here. There's 5 city commissioners, including the mayor, and there's space for staff to join with as well. We also have the planning commission meeting here, which is a completely different board. And Ryan, you have 7 planning commissioners, right? So that those 7 fill this side up completely, and then there's still room for staff there. So that provides a little flexibility depending on what meeting we're having.
And if you would like to attend that meeting at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. We had another question in the back.
Question for the commissioners, which someday I hope there may be some future commissioners here in the chairs for them to learn. Why do you do this? Why do you go on the commission? What is your passion? Why do you choose to run and be up to these positions? Why?
I can go first. My position is for the people in the room, as well as my own 3 daughters at home. You know, I have a background in utilities, and I just thought my interests and background and professional experience would align well with being a commissioner here. So I got a little nudge from some outside people that thought that I would also do a good job, and so that was enough to get me to run.
Yeah, I'm just really passionate about Madison. I love Madison. I love being a part of the community, and in that, I want to help the community. And I think that everybody's voices should be heard, whether their ideas are what I'm in agreement with or not. And so I like to hear everybody's opinions and help facilitate that open communication. So I like to be a part of it.
Yeah, but, you know, this is gonna sound like a broken record here, but what they both said is truly why we do it. We want to see Madison move forward, you know, make it a great place to be, maybe where you guys, when you have your own family someday, would want to stick around or have an opportunity to have jobs and find, you know, what you want to do in the Madison area. So just to drive forward and keep Madison fun to be, fun to live with, or in.
Yeah, my biggest thing was about 5 years ago, I don't like dysfunction. I don't handle it very well, and it was very dysfunctional at the time, and I just felt like I either needed to be a part of the problem or a part of the solution, and so I took a petition out to run, and I ran right in the middle of COVID, which was extremely different, and I got on, and there was a lot of things that just really needed to kind of happen, and you know, it's been an awesome journey, and I'm gonna walk away at the end of June, and you know, somebody else is gonna take this seat, and hopefully they can continue on. But I ran because I'm passionate about people. I care about the community. Obviously, all of you are in the school system, and you know, that's what I care about kids, and I want, you know, things long term for you guys to be here, and you know what's best for you, and that's why I'm here. So.
And for those of you that are in the crowd in that, there's few of you that know that I taught for 33 years at the high school. And so I've always had an interest in the city of Madison. And so for me, once my position was eliminated there, I moved into being the mayor because I wanted to see Madison improved and moving forward. And so I was in for 6 years, and then one of the things I purchased was the car lot behind us. There was no school board meeting or election, so I lost by 6 votes. I was out 3 years, and I had the passion to come back in, and I really enjoy being in this position, because if we don't improve our town and we don't move our town forward, no one from outside is going to do that. And so it is a passion to see Madison as a beautiful place to live, have the amenities and that for people that want to be here. And we've got a great community and great support from the community. So thank you. Thank you for the question. Other questions? Yes, sir.
What does the city do when there's like a storm?
Okay, Jameson, I'm going to turn that one to you.
Can you be, what, are you talking about like our immediate response, or when it's like a bad storm like the derecho, or? Yeah, so I'll take the derecho as an example. So that was in, what, 22? I believe. Yeah, time goes fast. And so when a big storm like that comes down, we had power outages, we had trees down, we had people driving all around town to see what's going on. And so in disasters like that, we open up what we call an Emergency Operations Center, EOC. And the EOC houses everybody who was trying to respond to that incident. So we had representatives from the county, we had representatives from the city, the police chief Meyer, who was here earlier, he ran that and headed up the EOC, because it's important to have one person in charge to facilitate that response effort. And it's a lot of coordination between crews on the ground who are restoring power and clearing debris and, checking for people who might be injured or without houses, opening up. That's the ground side. In the EOC, we're working with, I think we worked with the Red Cross to open up the armory to be a shelter for anybody who maybe needed to have power because there's a generator there, or might have lost a home, something like that. And so we're working with the response in that manner. We're communicating with the media, communicating with the public, amongst ourselves. And so there's a lot that goes on in that instant. I wasn't here for any of the most recent floods, but I know that type of emergency response is like the derecho times 10. It's a much bigger deal, and it's much more difficult to impact. And the staff here, I have been thoroughly impressed with how well they are at handling those types of emergencies. Unfortunately, I think it comes from practice. I hope that we don't have much practice in the future, but they do a great job of handling emergency situations like that.
And then from the public standpoint and that, I think, Kelly, you can help me on this one. We have REACT, and we have, the Lake Emergency Management Director that basically keeps an eye on the weather and tries to alert the public with as much information as they can, if we know an event, is possible or coming. Kelly, anything you can add to that?
Yeah, I guess just the derecho specific, as far as a member of the fire department, we were taking more reactive measures to make sure there wasn't more imminent danger, such as, trees on natural gas meters or natural gas leaks. That's probably the biggest thing that we were looking for after that specific event. But then just kind of reacting as the calls come in once people are getting figured out what's really going on, so.
And that, I should add, that immediate response is really only half of the equation when you look at emergency management, because the other half is planning in advance. You don't know what's gonna happen or when it's gonna happen, but it's important to be aware, always be watchful in training. And so our local law enforcement, our fire department, they're always making sure they're ready for that. We're doing, on this mitigation planning we were talking about tonight, so that's a very long-term thing to try to do big changes for the community that can lower our risk of floods in the future, and that's really challenging. But that's incredibly important, because then you don't have to respond as much. They do tabletop exercises, so you might get a group of people together, and then you'll throw a scenario at them to say, hey, a tornado just hit the town, and this is the infrastructure it's impacted, what are you gonna do? And so you do those types of exercises as well to help plan for things that may come down the road.
Anyone else want to comment on that? Okay. Very good questions. Any others? Well, if no other questions, I want to thank you for being here this evening. And then if you stick around here after our meeting and that, we will give you a tour. Okay. All right. With that, we've already adjourned. So with that, thank you everyone for being here.
Recording.
Very good.
Yeah, that was great.
I get to figure out why.
There's always something, right?
And that's weird that swapped.
Yeah. When you get to it, I would just post the whole recording with the answering at the end, because you still had a quorum of them discussing and stuff.
We did. We just,
Yeah. Have fun at your dinner day. I know, yeah, just, at the time I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do